Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you should know going into the new season of Rainbow Six Siege, as well as recapping a little bit from the last season. I'm going to be going into things like win deltas, ban rates, and how I think it's comparable for each rank. But also coming into the new season, I want to talk about the new operator, the new map, and all of the different balance changes coming with the new season. Before I get into this graph, I want you to understand this is platinum and above. So if you are gold and below, this graph doesn't apply as heavily to you, but it's still probably going to be pretty accurate. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is win deltas. This is a graph that uses the metrics of percent amount of rounds won, as well as the amount of rounds that they're picked. If we look into this graph, we can see that Yana is the most picked attacker right now, and she's very high, at least comparative to all the other attackers, for the amount of rounds that she wins. So if you look at what this box says, it's overpicked and too strong operators, right? So anything that is in this box is overpicked and too strong. In the dev's mind, a perfect operator would be in the center of this graph right here. So what you'll see is any of the operators that are the closest to here are the most balanced, and they probably won't be touching anytime soon. So what I imagine is they're probably going to nerf Yana in some way. I'd imagine they take her 1.5 scope off or something, maybe take her nades off, I don't know. But to be honest, Yana hasn't seen this kind of resurgence in a while, so I'm hoping they don't do anything to her because people are just now starting to play her. If you look in the underpicked and too weak category, you have pretty much everybody you'd expect. You have Monty, Blitz, Glaz, Fuse, Ying, Capitao, Kali, Blackbeard, Gridlock, Dokkaebi, and Zero. They're all pretty weak operators. Maybe not Ying. I can see a case being made for her. But if they would buff any of these operators, maybe except for Ying, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. Some really weird outliers in the underpicked too strong category being Lion, Nakamaru, and Finka. Being that we're in a Valkyrie meta and everybody's banning Valkyrie and everybody's realizing how powerful she is now, playing Nok actually would get you a pretty high win rate. So I can understand a little bit of leniency there. Amaru rushing. Nobody really plays Frost anymore. Nobody's really expecting an Amaru rush, so I can see that. Keeping in mind that this graph is platinum and above, I can see why Finka is so high in terms of win rate, but also in presence. If you've ever watched any Australian Pro League, you know they love Finka. They always have. They've always sworn by her. And now that she's getting a buff in the upcoming season, I only see her pick rate getting higher. Now, everybody here, from Maverick all the way to Yana, I completely understand why they're here. It's pretty much every good hard breacher. Therm being down here just because Ace is better. He brings a better gun. He brings more hard breaching utility. Habana for hatches, Zofia for her LMG and the utility she brings, Nomad for the anti-flank. You have Jackal, which is one of the most banned operators in the game, not only being able to roam clear the most efficiently, but also with the secondary shotgun. You have Sledge with the most soft destruction in the game. You have Thatcher, which denies most of the utility in the game. You have Twitch, who can kill a lot of gadgets, getting Miras, getting Goyos. And then you have Yana with a crazy amount of utility. She has infinite droning. She can get any Arunis in the game. She has frag grenades. She has two of the best guns in the game. And it's kind of surprising to me now that she's just now being discovered as one of the really good operators in the game. Now we're looking at the win deltas for the defenders. So Jaeger still has the highest pick rate in the game, literally just because of his gun. People like his gun. They don't care about his gadget. So no matter how much they nerf his gadget, he's still going to be picked a lot, and I don't think that the devs have realized this yet. But this is proven also if you look at his win delta, which is almost below 2% on the level of like Tachanka. He's below Goyo and Castle. Like it's kind of crazy. Right now, Valkyrie is one of, if not the most broken character in the game right now. But coming with a nerf that I'll talk about in a second, I would imagine that her win rate would go down. Maybe not her pick rate, but her win rate definitely going to go down. Seeing Melusi doesn't surprise me. Seeing Thunderbird doesn't surprise me. Seeing Legion doesn't surprise me. Seeing Mira doesn't surprise me. But what's really surprising to me is this area right here. So obviously Capcan's had a huge resurgence as he can put multiple traps on the same door now, and you can just insta-kill people if they're not droning correctly. So seeing his win rate go high is not that surprising. Seeing Ella's win rate so high is not surprising. Oryx, great gun, probably one of the best roamer mechanics in the game, not surprising. Alibi, really, really balanced right now. Echo is not that good. Maestro being down here, that's surprising to me. His gun is great. He has impact grenades, barbed wire. He can impact trick because he has a bailiff. But now that you can knife his Maestro cams, I do see that maybe being a factor, but even then you can still shoot out of him. So I don't really know why he's not played a lot. He also is kind of a boring character to play, so maybe that's one of the reasons. Vigil, that is crazy to me. Vigil being that low, not only in pick rate, but also in the amount of wins that you get, is crazy to me. But I'd imagine because of Oryx, Ella, and Alibi being so strong right now, just people aren't playing a lot of Vigil. Warden, that's to be expected. He's one of the worst characters in the game, especially with not a lot of people picking Ying in the first place. He's not really needed. Pulse, honestly, his only problem is his gun selection. If he had a better gun selection, I think people would play him, but because of that, there's not a lot of Pulse players left, and the ones that are just don't have a good gun, so I can see why he's here. Goyo being here also surprises me a little bit in the sense that he has a great gun and a good gadget if you know how to use it, but he's such an obscure character, and there's always just better characters to play that I see why his presence is down here. Tachanka, I think, is just undiscovered. When I think people realize how strong Tachanka can be, I think at least his pick rate will go up, but his win rate will definitely skyrocket. Castle having a low win rate and pick rate just because of how undiscovered an operator he is, as well as Tachanka. I also think his gun is trash. I don't like the fact that he can have his barricades just knifed. I think if they reverted the last change they made and he only had 3 castle barricades but you couldn't knife him, I think he'd be perfect. Clash being down here, no one's surprised by this. She's just a shit operator in general. Now looking into ban rates, this shouldn't surprise any of you. Every game that you go to ever, there's going to be a Thatcher ban. He has an 84% ban rate. Jackal also being up there. These graphs are platinum and above, but every single person gold and below is banning Jackal, even before Thatcher. So if we're looking at this from total and not just platinum and above, I guarantee you Jackal's like 75% at least. Having a Monty ban doesn't surprise me. No ban. That does surprise me. I'm actually going into a lot of games and seeing people pick no ban for whatever side that they're playing. So if they start out as a defender, they just do no ban for defense. Logically, that makes sense because you're playing 3 rounds where you have access to all defenders except for 1. But if you think about it, you might as well ban somebody that you know nobody's gonna play on your team. That way they don't use it. So doing no ban literally makes no sense. My advice, never no ban. At least ban somebody. That's a stupid idea to no ban. 15% too? You're telling me there's more people doing no ban than there are hard breachers? That's fucking ridiculous. Same with defense. Look at the no bans here. You're telling me people are no banning more than they're banning Melusi? Almost the same amount of ban rate as Clash? Is fucking ridiculous. So anyways, back to what I was talking about. You have the obvious 3. People are banning Osa because they don't want to deal with shields. People are banning Nomad because they want to be able to flank. Blackbeard's a stupid ban. He is borderline useless now. I can see it on Clubhouse when people Blackbeard Maverick trick. But at that point, you just ban Maverick. And then Ace and Habana, obviously, they're hard breachers. Going into the defensive ban rates, you have Mira, obviously. Valk, obviously, she's the strongest operator in the game, in my opinion. Cade, for certain strats that you want to do. Let's say they ban Thatcher. You don't want him to play Cade so you can actually destroy him. Clash, I see why. She's just annoying to deal with. Even though her win rate and presence is so low, having a Clash, even though they're gonna die, is just annoying. It's just a time waster. Melusi, I see why. Great gun, great gadget. Echo, I don't see why. He's terrible. His gun is okay, though. Ella, great guns. Really, really good gadget. Capcan with his buff, I understand people just don't want to have to drone every doorway. And then Cav and Jaeger for their just annoyance and for their gun. So looking at all of this and looking at what operators are really good right now, looking at who's banned, what does this mean for what the meta is for this season? I think flex support players are having the time of their fucking life right now. There's no excuse for you to not have a high KD at this point. Like normally if you'd have a KD that's 1.0 or below, you're just like, oh, I play support, right? But there's no excuse. Support players have some of the best guns in the game now, as well as defense. You have flex players, support players, that have some of the best guns, some of the best gadgets. This is a heavy support meta, and you're actually seeing people that used to just frag start playing flex. Bolo's an example. He does play flex a lot, so maybe that's not as good of an example, but he plays a lot of Yana now, ever since she was discovered as being a good operator. And then you have actual fraggers being picked not a lot with kind of a low pick rate because you can literally just one-tap headshot anybody. So it doesn't really matter what gun you have or what ability you have. So if you're going to frag, you might as well bring somebody that brings a lot of utility to the table. That's why everybody that used to play Vigil is just playing Valkyrie now if she's not banned. That's why everybody who used to play Vigil is playing Thunderbird, playing Melusi, playing Legion, because it's a heavy utility meta right now. This is also proven in the ban rate. People on defense want their utility. They ban Thatcher every time. It also helps because people just don't want the wall and the side to be open. And then you look at Defender. Attackers do not want Valkyrie on the board. She brings so much information to the table. Same with Mira. You have Cade bans for walls, you have Clash bans for annoyance, but you have Melusi bans, information, Echo bans, information, Ella, information, Capcan, information. Because at the core, the game is just a utility game. So there's always going to be that nagging sense of even if you have good aim, you can still get outplayed. Now, looking into the new season, the new operator that they're bringing, I don't think is going to change that. I think if you have a synergized team, maybe it'll change how you play around certain windows and doors, but I don't think she's going to be changing that much. They're reworking Outback, which I think is great. People are weirded out that they reworked Outback. I personally love that they reworked Outback. I fucking hated that map. I hated that. It was such a bad map. Attacking on it felt like a nightmare. It felt terrible. Attacking like second floor, for instance, there were so many places you had to check and roam clear, and it was such a tight space. It was always uncomfortable to attack. Now that it's a little bit more open, I think it's a lot better. I think they added rooms that needed to be added. I think they reworked the map a lot better than I thought they were going to. So overall, I'm happy with that change. They're not adding a game-breaking operator, but they're not adding a useless operator like they did before in the knock. And then you have the balance changes. So there are some really good balance changes that me and the community have been waiting for. But there's also some really useless ones that nobody asked for that kind of just make existing and old Siege players really mad. So first of all, let's talk about the UI changes, dude. What the fuck? Why do they feel like they need to change the theme of the game every single season? They start out with the character loading screens. They start out with different UI changes, different colors. Like, nobody's asking for this. Fix your game and then color it however the fuck you want to. But, okay, UI changes. There's a huge dead center compass right in the middle of your screen. If they don't make that toggleable, I'm genuinely going to be pissed off. Nobody's asking for that compass, right? Like, nobody cares. They're putting in what they call colorblind implementation. Literally, you can just change the team colors of your team, and then you can change like the gadget colors. One thing that I do like about the new UI though is that they have a better ping system. So whenever your teammate pings something, in the bottom right next to that compass, it shows where that ping is. So that's one of the things that has been annoying me recently is if you're a player without a mic, they still have to be looking at where that ping is. So if you're pinging something behind them, and let's say you don't have a mic, they're not gonna know. All they hear is the ping. So if you ping now, what this thing does in the bottom right is it shows you where your teammate's pinging. Okay, I hear my teammate pinging. Where's he pinging? Main stairs. Cool. Turn around, hold main stairs. Bam. It's so much better. I do like that. I don't like literally everything else. I hate the character selection screen. I hate how there's the 3 weapons and shit that you have on the bottom right. I think it looks ugly. Now, getting into some balance changes, what I've been talking about for a while in the video, the Valk change. So essentially, every camera in the game, when you put it outside of the building, after a few seconds, I think it's 10 seconds, the camera shut off and they lose signal. So this is Ubisoft trying to cater to new players coming into the game. They see that their game is dying, and their solution to that is instead of making existing players happy, which is what they should be doing, they're making new players happy. But this game, at its core, is not a new player-friendly kind of game. So all this is doing is making it worse. People have been asking for Valk cams to lose signal when you throw them outside for a while. That's one of the reasons I have mixed feelings about this change is I do like that you're not going to be able to spawn peek and run out, but all that's doing is catering to new players. If you're an existing player that's average at the game and you see they have a Valk, you either bring IQ or you know that you're probably going to get run out on. All this is doing is dumbing down the player base to not have to look for more shit. And even then, it still lasts 10 seconds, so you can still spawn peek and run out as much as you really wanted to. So personally, I don't like this change. But let's talk about a change that I do like. Finka. They made it to where whenever you are down to Finka, you're able to revive yourself now, and it still gives the boost to everybody else. So before you were only able to revive your teammates with their Finka boost, now you can revive yourself. Cool, I like that. They also made it to where whenever you think a boost, it doesn't actually help the recoil of your gun. Now on the surface level, this looks bad, right? This looks like a counterbalance nerf to her being able to revive herself, but it's actually really good. If you listen to any pro players talk about the most annoying thing about Finka, they'll talk about how her recoil buff actually hurts them. Because anybody that's a pro player has really good aim, right? And so they've practiced with their main guns that they use, they've practiced their recoil control. So they know dead center how to recoil control their gun, and then when Finka boosts them, they pull down too much and it fucks their aim up, right? So instead of helping them, it's actually hurting them. And now they've gotten rid of that. So on the surface level, it looks like it's a nerf, but it's actually a really good thing. Also, one thing I do want to mention is bulletproof cams. Instead of just staying still and you can only look in one place, you're able to move around the camera in that bulletproof cam. That's pretty cool. I've always wanted that. I'm glad that they did that. Going into the last change that I'm going to talk about is they're doing elite skin variations. Nobody asked for this. The elite skins are unique to what they are, and they bring more personality to the character you're playing, and I think that's the whole point of what elite skins are. And the fact that you can change them with the banners behind them and other things just doesn't really sit right with me or make sense. And it's a change that literally no one cares about and nobody asked for. So it amazes me that the amount of changes that they can make to shit that nobody cares about compared to the shit that they need to change. So considering all of this, you have a new operator, a new map, all these balance changes that are either really good or they're useless. What is the state of Siege right now? If you ask anybody that plays the game, anybody that's good at the game, even anybody that's bad at the game that's new, they'll tell you it's dying. It's a dying game. If you look at the numbers from 2-3 years ago to what they are now, it's kind of insane. People are looking at what the game used to be and the potential that it has, and they're looking at what the game is now, and it's just not good. It's really hard to have fun with this game just because the solution that Ubisoft uses to fix their game is nerfing people instead of buffing the characters that are bad. So they bring down operators to the levels of all of the other operators that are bad instead of bringing those bad operators up to the good operators. Warden has not gotten buffed. No. As a matter of fact, why did they feel the need to nerf Glaz, bruh? Why did they feel the need to nerf Warden? Why? There was no need for that. That was a while ago, but still, like, they're just fixing shit that doesn't need to be fixed, and it's making the game uncomfortable. It's making it to where it's hard to have fun with this game. And if you ask anybody that knows me, they know that I love this game, and I play this game more than I should, and I like the game more than I should, because at its core, it's a bad fucking game. So hearing this coming from me, saying that I don't enjoy the game as much as I used to, and I think it's a terrible fucking game, like, come on, man. Like, these devs are so shit. And they talk about how they tried to listen to their community with this update. Nobody in the community asked for UI changes. Nobody in the community asked for elite skins. Nobody in the community asked for an Outback rework, even though it's kind of good. Nobody asked for another trapping character. It's just, they're doing shit that makes no sense to me. So my opinion, is this update gonna be good or bad for Siege? Is this gonna help Siege? I don't know. At this point, like when I first started playing this update, like, yeah, the changes are cool and they're good for the game, but it's too little too late, man. Like, the game is so boring now. I've gone and watched YouTubers playing the test server before I played it, and they all just seemed so fucking done with the game. None of them seemed excited. None of them seemed like they wanted to do it. It's just, it is not what it used to be, and it is completely the developer's fault. Am I going to be taking a break from this game anytime soon? Fuck no. But I do think that it's getting less fun. And I think at the core of this game, the game is only fun when you are sweating your balls off the entire time with a 5-stack of friends. And that is hard to do for 95% of the player base, because it's a video game. Nobody wants to try that hard. They just want to have fun, and you can't do that with Siege. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. The new season's coming out next Tuesday on November 30th. So after that, I'll play for it for a few weeks, and we'll see what happens. I could be wrong. This could make the game a lot more fun. It could get people to start playing the game again. We'll see. It's all speculation. But that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that I helped you see the state of the game right now and what I think it'll be in the future. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike the video, dislike it. And see you in the next one.